Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the relaunch of the Trinidad and Tobago Association of Washington, D.C. Scholarship Initiative. It takes a village. Today's program is brought to you by TTADC and hosted by Ms. Abby Charles. The grants are based on achievement and/or need. Recognizing outstanding academic achievement, community service, leadership, and financial need, the scholarships will help fund full-time undergraduate study at any accredited college, university, vocational or cultural program within the United States. This will be an evening of information and entertainment, ranging from art appreciation, reading, to dance and music. As you are informed, we hope to move our viewing audience and community to help achieve the goals of the organization, to educate our youth. TTADC is poised to eventually grow this initiative into full scholarships in the future. Contributions can be made at ttadc.org, because we recognize that it takes a village.
Welcome to It Takes a Village, the Trinidad and Tobago Association of DC's Scholarship Initiative. I'm Abby Charles and I'll be your host for this evening, where our plan is to introduce you to this scholarship initiative, It Takes a Village. Here to introduce you to the scholarship initiative is Ms. Janelle Royale, a board member of the association.
Hello everyone, today is a great day, one we've been planning and awaiting for a long time. My name is Janelle Royal, Board Director for the Trinidad and Tobago Association of Washington, D.C., also known as TTADC. It's my pleasure to welcome you to the launch of the Trinidad and Tobago Association of Washington, D.C. Scholarship Program. We are delighted that you all have joined us today. The fact that so many of you have willingly signed on to the event serves as a reminder to us all just how important our work is for the community. We want all our students to achieve their full potential, and TTADC is committed to actively supporting the success of our young people. Our task is to make it possible. Our mission is to provide financial assistance. The theme for our scholarship launch is It Takes a Village, and as you well know, these days we need each other more than ever. We have some esteemed experts on the program today. In addition to our talented host, Ms. Abby Charles, we are honored to have two prolific authors, Ms. Lauren Frances Sharma and Mr. Ryan Scott, who will share a reading of their books, The Axe and The World Doesn't Require You. Very interesting titles, so I'm looking forward to hearing those presentations. We also have renowned artist, Ms. Mickey Damas, who will display some of her unique pieces, a vocal performance by Ms. Gabrielle Sween, a dance performance by Amde of Made Entertainment, and a musical interlude by Ms. Josanne Francis. We also have presentations by Ms. Lauren Semper Scott and Ms. Chaya Stanislaus Ramsey. So ladies and gentlemen, prepare yourself to be informed, to be entertained, to be excited, and to be inspired to donate to our scholarship fund at ttadc.org. Again, that's ttadc.org. So before I hand over to our host, I want to say once more, on behalf of our scholarship and organizing committee, welcome, enjoy, and donate. Thank you for your support.
So this evening promises to be an exciting and informative forum where we'll introduce the association's innovative approach to this scholarship fund and to fundraising. The scholarship fund was initially introduced in the mid-1980s under the administration of the then president, Mr. Michael Dupeny, and was managed by the late Ken Graham. It served the community for several years, providing grants for students in the community. Here's a brief endorsement by Mr. Dupeny.
My name is Mike Dupeny, past president of the Trinidad and Tobago Association of Washington, D.C. During my term in office, we developed a scholarship fund which was headed by Ken Graham, who is now deceased. I am happy to be part of the committee that has reestablished that scholarship fund started years ago. As a result, I fully support TTADC's scholarship initiative because it takes a village to raise a child.
And now to tell us a bit more about the objectives, intentions for 2022, long-term goals, operations, and benefits, here's Mr. Dwayne Scott. He's a member of the board and of the scholarship committee.
Hi, I'm Dwayne Scott, a director on the executive board of the Trinidad and Tobago Association of Washington, D.C. Thank you for tuning into our virtual program today, where you'll have the opportunity to see and learn about authors and artists and learn about their exciting work. You'll also be able to learn about one of the most important things we'll be discussing today, our scholarship initiative. Many of you know of the activities of TTADC, which have included Thanksgiving baskets, our most recent virtual pan concert, and our most recent concert where we celebrated a truly momentous occasion, the 45th anniversary of the founding of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago. But we're also here to introduce you to our most exciting endeavor, our scholarship initiative. You see, the motto of TTADC is strength in community and culture. The scholarship initiative reflects this motto by emphasizing the importance of building and supporting students as they pursue higher learning. We are reviving this vital aspect of our community work because of the importance of education, which is a foundational element of personal and professional success. Going to school is necessary to gain new knowledge and skills. Higher education is an opportunity and a gateway to the future. It's an opportunity to meet new people and explore literature, science, art, and technology. Higher education is a way to develop the skills necessary to be the future leaders our community needs. But we know that we cannot attain and meet our aspirations alone. It truly takes a village. In addition to support from friends and family, we know that financial support is critical to completing education. Many in our community are college or career ready, but when looking to take the next step, they unfortunately lack the necessary funds to complete their journey. We know that the cost of living continues to rise. Goods and services and college tuition are getting higher. Whether you want to be a teacher, engineer, electrician, doctor, or lawyer, or a pan artist, knowledge and intelligence will take you far. But in order to complete that journey, you will need financial assistance. This is why we are relaunching our scholarship initiative. TTADC Scholarship Fund will serve as a bridge between those aspirations and attainment of skills. The financial support we provide will be the catalyst for the development of new skills and the acquisition of knowledge, by serving as the bridge that will lead students towards fulfilling their educational aspirations. Our vision is for the TTADC Scholarship Program to provide vital financial support. In the years to come, we will continue to grow the amount of aid we will be able to provide. The financial assistance will go towards tuition and books. Every little bit of aid helps. So we have a great program, like I said, featuring very exciting artists and authors. Please enjoy our program and donate to our scholarship initiative at ttadc.org. Thank you.
Now you're probably wondering, who's this fantastic woman sitting here next to me? Well, I get to interview Miss Lauren Frances Sharma as we discuss her book, The Little Axe. And, tonight, Lauren, the 2020 American Library Association's Library Transforms book pick. And she's a finalist of the Hurston Wright Award in Fiction. Her first novel, Till the Well Runs Dry, was awarded the Honor Fiction Prize by the Black Caucus of the American Library Association. Not only is she a graduate of the University of Pennsylvania and the University of Michigan Law School, but she's also a book reviewer for the San Francisco Chronicle, a McDowell Fellow. She serves on the board of the Penn Faulkner Foundation and is the assistant director of Breadloaf Writers Conference at Middlebury College. So I'd love to invite Lauren to please give us a little preview of her book of the Little Acts.
Yeah, thank you. I'm happy to be here. This book is set in Trinidad and what will become Montana, and we are in 1813. The other women laughed and teased Ma, said she was heartsick that father had left, that she didn't know her toes from the hairs on her bum. Ma giggled, clapping her cheeks coyly, her eyelashes batting like marauding moths, pretending the worry that had made her mouth a worn horseshoe was because of father. But father was gone much of each year, and Victor, though certain that something else was the cause of Ma's worry, did not know the cause was him. It was nearly a week after father's departure when Bluegrass sent the girl to live in a lodge across the valley, a half-hour's walk from Lakewind. But it was only a matter of days after this girl found her way back and began seeking out Victor. Victor knew the girl hoped to be in proximity to Lakewind, but that didn't lessen Victor's elation. He wanted the girl to favor him. It was a fact that both shamed and propelled him. And though perhaps he should have thought better of his pursuits, Victor felt Lakewind had given this opening to him, for he'd made himself scarce, skipping their hunts, hiding himself away in his mother's lodge as if in sufferance. So the girl and Victor were left alone, and all seemed well between them until one misty morning when they roamed along the edges of a field and noticed horses struggling to find fodder. In the 4 days prior, rain had come down with such cruelty that some of the earth looked to have been bashed into the muddy pools where it now swirled. "We'll need to move the horses to higher ground," Victor told the girl. As they trampled into the morass to tether the horses, the girl standing beside, the runtiest of the stallions, smiled and pointed at its tangled tail with her pinky. "Your hair is like this, yes?" she said. Victor had never thought of his hair as being like that of a horse's. In his hands, his hair felt like the lacy leaf of a maple or the ruche of a spider's web. But if the girl was asking if he had ever wondered why his hair, why his mother's hair, was so different from all in their tribe, the answer, of course, was yes, he had. He'd admired, sometimes even envied the straighter hair of others, occasionally wishing for the easy flow and the growth that descended. But Ma seemed to know that such desire would come, and she told him long ago that in the faraway world of their ancestors, straight hair was an anathema. She laughed when she said the word, said that it meant her people would have wondered what there was to do with such straight hair. They would have wondered why it did not have the same powers of stability and dexterity, did not have the ability to captivate light and resist air. And any time Victor questioned why he'd been made so different, Ma would smile with her eyes and touch his hair, and her hands inside his twisty strands, softly grazing his scalp, always made sense to him. But now, looking at the girl's gnawed lip curl up as she pointed at the tangled, coarse hair of the horse's tail, he could no longer remember the feeling of Ma's fingers. And so he laughed, hoping his feelings of inadequacy did not reek.
So Lauren, you know I'm gonna have to ask, what's the inspiration behind Book of the Little Acts?
Well, I think that growing up, I watched a lot of, Little House on the Prairie and lots of, Westerns, and I never saw people that looked like me. And I really wanted to tell a story not just about the American West, but about what Trinidad was like in the late 1700s and the early 1800s, when the Spanish lose the island to the Brits. This story begins, and it's all about a black family who owned land, but who really were threatened by the British arriving and everything that happened with colonialism and free black people in Trinidad. And so you meet this girl, and she's made her way to the American West because something terrible has happened at home in Trinidad.
Okay. You tell, your words are, they flow so beautifully. And I am not a writer at all. So I'm always interested in learning about what inspired someone to become an author. What inspired you?
It's a good question. Because I was a lawyer. And so I thought that that's what I was supposed to do. I thought I was going to, practice law for my entire life. But I'd always been really attracted to writing. But, I have two Trinidadian parents who were not trying to hear that. So I went to law school. But, my grandmother actually came to this country in the 1960s. She'd had a stroke, sort of 2010, 2011. And I was sitting in Brooklyn, sitting next to her hospital bed, and I was thinking to myself, I never asked her why she was here, why she came here, why she left Trinidad for this country, and that really made me want to write a book. And my first book, Till the Law Runs Dry, is about her story.
Thinking about young people in the Trinidadian diaspora, in the Caribbean diaspora, who might be dreaming about being an author, right? That young Lauren, what advice would you give to them?
Don't listen to your Trinidadian parents. No. But seriously, there's a little bit of dreaming that's required, right? And not everyone's going to be able to see your dream as clearly as you. So I think it's really important to keep that faith. But more important, practice your craft, as often as you can, as much as you can. We have really busy lives, and having an artistic life is a real struggle. But 5 minutes a day, 10 minutes a day, reading, writing, doing something, that's craft.
Mm-hmm. How can a scholarship fund like this support a young person to practice their craft or to become really talented as an author?
Well, this is what it's all about, right? I mean, the reason that we're here is to actually make sure that people are able to pursue the things that they love and that they're good at. So, I'm donating, and I hope that other people will too. TTADC.org, right?
That's it. That's exactly it. And how can we support you as an author?
Buy my books. Yeah. No, I mean, it's really important. One of the things about being a reader and a writer is that we don't understand that if you don't buy the books, then people like me won't be able to tell the stories. Mm-hmm. They won't publish these stories. They won't be able to. They won't be able to say, "Hey, someone was reading it and someone liked it." So it's really important, not just for me, but for everyone who's an artist, to be supported in this way.
Yeah. So you heard that well. We're supporting Lauren Francis Sharma, and we're also supporting our scholarship fund. So definitely donate to ttadc.org, and definitely check out the book of the Little Axe. And where can we purchase your book?
Anywhere you can buy books.
Awesome. So we are going to be supporting. Lauren is donating, and we hope you're going to be donating too this evening. Thank you so much, Lauren.
Thank you.
And next on our program, we are going to be watching a fantastic dance performance by Amdi Entertainment. So let's check it out.
Amdi Entertainment.
Hold me, darling. All night we jamming. Lordy, are you ready? Are you ready for it? Are you ready? Are you ready for it? You want give me that? Don't hold back. Wind it up, right there. Front to the back. No long just come to me. I'll give you that sweet type of love. Sweet type of love. I'll give you that sweet type of love. Sweet type of love. Hold me, darling. All night we jamming. Yeah. Dum 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 dum. Yeah. Hello. Hello. Yeah.
Now I am sitting with Mickey Dimas, and Mickey is an artist who is based out of Maryland, and she's fascinated by, drawn to the art of creating and making something out of nothing using her mind and hand. And she says, at the origin of every religion is a story of marvelous creation, a myth that explains and gives purpose to all that has come to be. So through creating, to borrow the words of Nina Simone, she says, is as close to God as she knows. Mickey, it's such an honor to get to chat with you because I've seen your work and it is beautiful.
Thank you.
And I know the audience is going to get a chance to take a look at some of your pieces. But can you tell us a little bit about how you got started in art and design?
So growing up, my mom was a doctor and my dad was an architect, still is an architect. And so I had the awesome task of being his little pal at work. So he would take me to work on days when maybe we had a half day, and I would tag along. And I remember seeing these buildings and wondering why there were these little buildings that he was helping to build. So I'd kind of shadow him and his mates as they would erect these projects. They'd let me play with markers in their office. I would touch things which you're not supposed to do. And so I had paper at home. I didn't have, those fancy supplies that an architect had, but I saw my dad sort of drafting plans and erecting models, so I tried to do the same thing. So what I did one day, I went home, I took all the computer paper, and I tried to build my little origami village so that I could sort of be like Dad. And that's the first memory I have of building something, of thinking of something, visualizing it, and making it come to life in 3D. And yeah, it was just really cool to watch, to have a dad that did that stuff. And I'm not sure if architects consider themselves artists, but for me, it really is no different.
Yeah. So I understand that you have Caribbean heritage. You're a little bit of Trini, some Bajan, a little bit of American.
Dash of Trini, dash of Bajan, dash of American, yeah.
How has your Caribbean heritage influenced your art?
Yeah, it's interesting. A lot of my friends growing up have one flag. I have three. So I'm at the intersection of Barbados, Trinidad, and America. I love color. So when I was younger, I played in Kitty's Mass, and seeing those costumes, seeing how even when you go to any house in Trinidad, there's just a bunch of colors. So I try to bring color into whatever I do, bright contrasting colors. And it's very healing for me. And I guess a motto in life, never forget to add color. My mom would be like, it needs a little bit more color.
Gosh.
Yeah.
I feel like that is the quintessential Caribbean statement, right? Like, if it's not colorful, is it really Caribbean? I don't know.
Yeah, you look at like European art, and they're like blue periods. There's periods of sadness in European art, but in Caribbean art, there seems to be a desire to uplift through happy art, through art that moves and has a lot of color. So I like that.
So what inspires you to create?
I would say my parents. I come from a family that loves the arts. I grew up going to theaters. I grew up around music, but I grew up with two parents who love to find artists, particularly Caribbean artists, and bring their art into our house. So we have masks, we have paintings. So there's all types of different genres of painting around me. And I also have a dad who's always showing me new artists. Like, you see that new Trini painter on Facebook, you gotta follow him and meet them. So yeah, my dad is very adamant that I remain connected.
Awesome. So. Yeah, and that connection and community. Well, one thing it's certainly a piece of the Trinidad and Tobago Association is that connection and community. Yes. But also it's very Caribbean, right? I'd love for you to walk us through some of your pieces of art. And I believe we're going to be displaying these pieces right now as you tell us a little bit about them.
So this piece is Panorama. It is a contest that takes place in Trinidad, for those of you who don't know, during Carnival. And I was thinking of this image of fire. Like Trinis, when they hear Pan, they just, regardless of what age you are, everybody can enjoy it. And it's kind of like it sets a fire off inside of everybody. So fire is blue, yellow, orange, red. So I use those same colors to sort of paint an image of Panorama. And the thing is, I haven't had a chance with all the parties. I haven't made it yet. but I feel like it's going to be like that and so much more.
I would never believe you hadn't been to Panorama after seeing that. Like, it looks like you're on stage in the grandstand watching a steel pan band on stage. That is fantastic.
Yeah, I've seen it on TV, but I'll make it there one day.
You have to. You have to. And we have another piece as well.
So I was asked to paint this. A woman, I don't think I can give all the details, but a woman, she did a documentary on what it's like to be a woman in Carnival. From the perspective of a woman who has a Trini husband, but she herself is American. So just knowing the rules, the unspoken rules, what it's like to be a woman with barely anything on and beautiful and walk through the streets for Carnival. And so she kind of reflects on her story as well as other people's. And that was my illustration of this painting. It's, can you touch me while I'm dancing? How do you know? What signals do I give you that I wanna whine on you? So
Fantastic. And I think we have one more piece as well.
This image is called Mental Real Estate. I don't remember where I heard that phrase from, but it stuck with me. And so I took it and I was like, what could that mean? Well, everybody has this idea of everybody has opinions of others, whether it's your parents, your family members, your friends, people that you don't know that live in your head, and they sort of take up residence. So this is an illustration of that, sort of a city of people's opinions on your head.
Gosh, I mean, her face is very architectural also, right, in that piece.
Yeah.
One last image for you to describe for us.
So this was obviously is Kamala Harris and Joe Biden. This was following the announcement that they had in fact won. So I did research. I found all the headlines from the moment they announced they're running to the final announcement. Headlines detailing Kamala's journey, her Indian heritage. Joe is composed of his own headlines. Kamala is composed of her respective headlines. And the idea is that they're kind of coming out of this darkness and looking at each other because they know what they're here to do.
Yeah. So I'm blown away by the diversity of the work, right? So there's steel pan to, this representation of a woman in mass, to Kamala Harris and Joe Biden. Like, it's so diverse,
all over the place.
Which is beautiful too, and it speaks to the ability to be Renaissance people as Caribbean people. How can the community, the Trinidadian community here in DC, Maryland, and Virginia, how can we support and purchase your work?
You can buy my work by checking out my website. So my website is MAHD, my initials, house, HAUS.org. And there you'll find my completely updated painting portfolio, personal pieces, as well as commissions. And message me about the painting of interest, and I'll get back to you shortly.
Yeah, and how does a scholarship fund like this, how can this support artists?
Well, I remember I got a scholarship when I was going to SCAD. I went to Savannah College of Art and Design. And it was financial help, yes, but it also just gave me that little extra spark to know that I was going on to do something great and that I had my Caribbean community behind me wishing me well. So it was a very proud moment to receive that.
Oh, awesome. So you heard that? And, are there ways that through the sales of your pieces that will support the fund?
Ways through the sales of my personal art. Yes, through the sales of my pieces, I'd be able to help Caribbean students like me achieve their dreams. Yes.
So you heard it right here. We are supporting the Trinidad and Tobago Association of DC to raise funds for their scholarship fund. So you can donate at TTADC.org. Definitely consider donating. You will be supporting young artists, young authors like Mickey through your donation. So we look forward to getting some updates soon on how those donations are going. And thank you so much, Mickey, for your work and for joining us this evening.
Thank you for
as we
having
celebrate the launch of this fantastic initiative. So with that, next we are going to hear from Chea Stanislaus Ramsey.
Good day. My name is Kaya Stanislaus Ramsey, and I am a freshman biology and psychology double major, chemistry minor from Trinidad and Tobago, and I attend Howard University. Scholarships make the finances available to, firstly, lessen the impact of rising tuition costs, allow students more time and energy to focus on their studies, and decrease the number of and the amount of student loans for higher education completion. For an international student like me, that can make all the difference. Financing college is extremely costly wherever you go. So imagine trying to attend a college where the exchange rate in my case was 7-1. Daunting, isn't it? Scholarships like this one being offered by the TTADC community can allow students who are more than capable of handling the workload but are on the fence due to lack of funding the opportunity to attend top colleges and succeed. This will not only benefit current recipients but future scholars by opening many doors and showing them that opportunities are limitless. And regardless of where they go, they can affect great change in the world as they have a vast network of support within the TTADC community. That being said, I am beyond grateful to have received the Capstone Scholarship from Howard University, which is an additional catalyst in my journey of achieving my dream. Coming from a single parent home, you cannot imagine the strain, mental, emotional, and financial that can be presented when applying and attending colleges. But having received this scholarship, it prevented me from having to seek out as much loans as well as the additional help and assistance rendered by the TTADC community helped alleviate a lot of stress. I can never express enough gratitude to the TTADC for their continuous support and for Howard University for their investment in me. Thank you.
I can't tell you how much I'm enjoying interviewing these phenomenal guests, and it is such an honor to have the opportunity to speak with and feature these phenomenal children of our soil of Trinidad and Tobago. And my next guest, Rion Amilcar Scott, is the author of the story collection, The World Doesn't Require You, a finalist for the Penn Gene Stein Book Award and winner of the 2020 Towson Prize for Literature. His debut story collection, Insurrections, was awarded the 2017 Penn Bingham Prize for Debut Fiction and the 2017 Hillsdale Award from the Fellowship of Southern Writers. Now, Rion is no stranger to publishing and has been featured in places like The New Yorker, The Kenyon Review, Crab Orchard Review, Best Small Fictions 2020, and The Rumpus, among many others. Presently, he teaches creative writing at the University of Maryland. Welcome, Rion.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
So honored to have you. And can you tell us a little bit about The World Doesn't Require You, and then give us a little reading?
Well, my book, just like all my books, like my first book, takes place in a fictional town called Cross River, Maryland, that has a fictional history of being the only town in America that was founded after a successful slave revolt. So in my world, as well as in my imagination, I took a lot of inspiration from the Haitian Revolution, and in my place, they landed in Maryland, and my stories tell the story of the children of the insurrection.
Mm-hmm. Would you mind reading a little bit of it for us?
Now, this is from the opening of the first story, called David Sherman, the Last Son of God. And it begins with a quotation from an old racist document called the Lincoln Catechism. Thou shalt have no other God but the Negro. God is from Cross River. Everyone knows that. He was tall, lanky, wore dirty brown clothes, and walked with a limp he tried to disguise as a bop. His chin held a messy salt and pepper beard that extended to his Adam's apple, always clutching a mango in his hand. Used to live down on the south side, down under the bridge near the water. Now there's a nice little sidewalk and flowers and a bike trail that leads into Port Yuga. Back then there was just mud and weeds, and he'd sit there barefooted, softly preaching his word. At one time he had 100, maybe 200, some say up to 500 or even 1,000 people listening. But the time I'm talking about, he'd sit with only 1 or 2 folks, always with a mango, except during Easter time,
when he passed out jelly beans to get people to stop and listen. He lived on the banks of the Cross River until one day he filled his pockets with stones and walked into the water and sank like a crazy poet. He wasn't insane. It was all part of God's plan. Last time he was crucified, this time drowned. Anyway, God can't drown. He'll come back, perhaps to oversee the writing of another testament, or to judge the living and the dead, whatever he feels. This story, though, isn't about God. It's about one of his sons. Not his son in the metaphorical sense. Well, he was, as we all are all the children of God, but more so he was his son in the physical sense. David Sherman was God's last son, the youngest of 13. 5 different women had lined up to sire the children of God. They were all boys except for the 5th, a disappointment, who at the age of 25 seduced his 15-year-old brother with her shapely behind and left Maryland to build a sinful life with him. God could have had more children, but he got a message from himself after David was born to stop spilling his seed into his servants. Who was he or anyone else to argue? David lived with his mother, Violet, in a 1-bedroom apartment on Sally Street that teemed with water bugs and mice, but rarely any rats. God slept there sometimes, but not very often. He'd rise early, long before the sun, and he'd tell his boy, "God morning to you, son." David would reply, "And God morning to you too." He stopped spending the night after David turned 12. To David, God was a disappointment. God told his son things from time to time, things about virtue and the coming of the Holy Ghost Testament, but never anything David could understand. He wondered if one day he'd lose his mind and be out on the street speaking an incomprehensible gospel like his old man. And when David was 16, God took his own life.
Okay. So, Rion, give us some context to this short story, this specific portion of the...
The whole book sort of builds up a mythology around this place, and around this time, and in this story, the Cross River has its own sound, its own music. It's called River Beat, and this story is the origin of River Beat. The God's son goes on to create this music, this sound. He gets into a little trouble and he comes out, and he starts playing in one of his brother's churches, because his brother goes on to be a pastor, and he invents this sound that his brother doesn't want, but the world wants it.
Powerful stuff. So you have been recognized in multiple spaces. I called out the award for this, award for that. You have fellowships. You've been published in multiple publications. With all of these honors, what are you the most proud of in your career?
The honors are nice. I'm not gonna lie, they're fun. But at the same time, the thing that I'm most proud of is just executing this vision. I'm not. I try to stay on this path of writing this story. I'm trying to write the story of this town from its beginning to its end. That's not always the most commercial thing to do in the world, and I face a lot of rejection. But I'm most proud of staying on this path.
Yeah, because it could be so easy there's so many ideas to start and not to finish. So to be able to see that through to completion is truly phenomenal. What inspires you in general to write? Because you tend to write more short stories. What inspires you?
Oh man, it's an obsession. It's an obsession. I just, I have these ideas. I want to execute them. I want to see how, they start off as, these little buds, and they look one way in my head. When you put them on the page, they come out deformed. It never looks the way it does in my head. And so I just want to see it through. I just want to see what I'm able to come up with. I remember writing this story, and I was very inspired by the book of Genesis and how God was portrayed in the book of Genesis, and how he's omnipotent, but then he's walking through the garden, and it's really wild, and I wanted to try to do something that sort of that was a modern take on that.
Yeah. So you presently teach, and you know some of these struggles that students are going through. Did you, when you were a student, did you envision that you would be where you are at right now?
My father could tell you all kinds of stories about me as a student. I wasn't always the best student in the world. I just wanted to write. That's all I wanted to do. I remember being at Howard University, and I would spend a long time in the library, just writing. It wasn't necessarily what I was supposed to be writing, but being there in that space, it gave me a lot to work with.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And how could a scholarship fund like this, would you say, supports other students to pursue writing or other careers?
Yeah, I just remember I was sort of blessed in that I didn't have the financial burden myself, but I watched my parents have that financial burden, and the space, being in a collegiate atmosphere, it just really put me on this path. So much of this comes out of my time at Howard University. A lot of ideas I'm still working with. I came up with there, and I wouldn't have come up with it anywhere else.
Mm-hmm.
And then I went on to graduate school, which I did bear the financial burden. I'm still bearing the financial burden.
Mm-hmm.
And it was that was a struggle, but I don't know where I would have gotten without those two experiences, undergraduate and graduate,
mm-hmm.
which were supremely expensive, but they were important.
Yeah, and school, the expenses of university, of college, of school, they can be such a burden on people's minds, but with a little bit of reprieve through a scholarship or some sort of funding, it could help you focus more so on getting the work done and take some of that stress off your brain. How can we as a community support you and support your work?
My books are everywhere that you that you would find books. You go to your local independent bookstore, mm-hmm. And purchase a book. You can't afford a book, go to the library. They purchase books. Tell them I want this book, and they'll order it there. But go out and tell people about it. These books, they sell by word of mouth mostly.
Mm-hmm.
If there's a book that you love, get excited about it. Tell people about it. Go on Amazon. So go on Amazon, go on Goodreads, and tell people about it. Mm-hmm. Whether you like it, dislike it, or indifferent about it. Just saying something helps the life of the book.
Mm-hmm. Well, the world doesn't require you. I am excited to go get this book and start reading it because I had not known about the ins and outs of what it was about. But hearing the connection to the Haitian Revolution and so much more, I'm very excited to check it out. So please check out the book, and I hope you are considering going to TTADC.org to donate to our fundraiser and to this scholarship fund this evening. Rion, thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me this evening and for sharing your book with us and your works with us.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, so next on our program, we have Miss Gabrielle Sween, who's a member of the band Eclipse International, and she's going to be performing the song Climb.
I can almost see it, that dream I'm dreaming, but there's a voice inside my head saying you'll never reach it. Every step I'm taking, every move I make feels lost with no direction. My faith is shaking, but I gotta keep trying, gotta keep my head held high. There's always gonna be another mountain, I'm always gonna wanna make it move. Always gonna be an uphill battle, sometimes I'm gonna have to lose. Ain't about how fast I get there, ain't about what's waiting on the other side. It's the climb. struggles I'm facing, the chances I'm taking, sometimes might knock me down, but no, I'm not breaking. I may not know it, but these are the moments that I'm gonna remember most. Yeah, just gotta keep going, but I gotta be strong. Just keep pushing on, 'cause there's always gonna be another mountain. I'm always gonna wanna make it move. Always gonna be an uphill battle. Sometimes I'm gonna have to lose. Ain't about how fast I get there, ain't about what's waiting on the other side. It's the climb. There's always gonna be another mountain. I'm always gonna wanna make it move. Always gonna be an uphill battle. Sometimes I'm gonna have to lose. Ain't about how fast I get there, ain't about what's waiting on the other side. It's the cloud. Keep on moving, keep climbing, keep the faith, baby. It's all about the climb. It's the climb.
Such a powerful rendition of Climb by Miss Gabrielle Sween. And, that song just reminded me of it's a struggle sometimes for some people who are going through college, going through university. And I think about the privilege that it was. I had a scholarship while I was in school, to not have to worry as much about being able to afford the costs of university, or even if you could afford the basic tuition, just to be able to get your meals on a day-to-day basis, etc. Having those supports are so essential for students to be successful in their college careers. So I hope you are, as you listen to that fantastic song, considering donating at TTADC.org. And on the website, you will have the opportunity to sign up to donate on a recurring basis if you would like to. So if it's possible and if you have the ability to, please consider donating monthly or on a regular basis to the association's scholarship initiative. Right now, I'd like to introduce Miss Angela Van Neal to summarize the 2022 awards.
Isn't it wonderful to give back? Greetings, everyone. I am Angela Van Neal, one of the executive board members of the Trinidad and Tobago Association of Washington, D.C., and a team member on the Scholarship Fund Committee. I have some exciting news to share with you. Today, we launch our 2022 Scholarship Fund program. TTADC has affirmed its ongoing commitment to assist its membership in advancing their goals and aspirations with opportunities to continue their education in an accredited school, i.e. high school, college, trade school, or cultural institution. Hence, the need for this scholarship fund. I will now share with you the selection criteria. Academic achievement, which includes grade point average, academic awards and honors. In addition, community service, where candidates should demonstrate their commitment to serve in the community. Activities, be an active registered member of an extracurricular activity team, club, or community service. Once applications have been received, the panel will review them and make a final decision. Awards will not automatically renew. However, the awards are as follows: one $1,500 award to an undergraduate student at a four-year college, one $1,500 award to a student enrolled in a graduate program, one $1,000 award to an undergraduate student at a community college, vocational, or trade school. Two $600 Mavis Bonds Cultural Awards to high school seniors or first-year undergraduate students at an accredited cultural institution. Students may reapply each year as long as they continue to meet the eligibility criteria. Award funds shall only be applied to tuition and related education expenses at the following types of institutions: U.S. accredited schools, trade schools, and cultural institutions. Scholarships shall be applied to tuition, fees, books, supplies, and equipment.
Greetings. I am Lauren Samper Scott, education consultant. I just want to take this opportunity to endorse the work of TTADC and to encourage you to make contributions to their cause. You know, we talk about the importance of education and the value of education, certainly for the individual, but also for the community and the country. But the thing we often forget is the cost. Education is not free. And even the cheapest education requires dollars that sometimes our best students don't have. And so students rely on us, each other, the village, to make generous contributions. And whatever contribution you can make is generous because it will be more than what the student already has access to. What we know from the research and just from experience is that students don't drop out because of the work. Most of the time they're unable to finish the degree or the course of study because of the finances. And so your generous contributions to TTADC fund, their foundation, and whatever benefit activities that they have in support of education are critical to help the students recognize and know that there are people in the community who they don't even know that are relying on them. And at the end of the day, when the student graduates, the student comes back to the community to serve in the community, to serve the village that has supported him or her, and the circle continues. Because a student who finishes is a student who is able to give back, and in giving back, he or she encourages the next generation to grow, learn, and give back. So I encourage you to consider certainly the work that TTADC is doing and the benefit that your contributions will make, not just to the individual, but to us as a community and as a country. Again, thank you in advance for your contributions. Visit the website, ttadc.org, and make a contribution. Not just once, but keep giving, because life requires us to support each other from generation to generation. This is your contribution to this generation and the generations to come. Thank you in advance for your contributions.
So you heard it. Lauren reiterated the importance of your donations and the importance of supporting our young people through their college experiences. Thank you so much. Lauren is an education consultant and is also a Bishop's girl. I'm a Hilarian as well, so always thankful for Lauren and her contributions. And you also heard from Angela Van Neal, and she shared some of the qualifications and how funds could be used from this scholarship. And you can always find information on the scholarship once it launches for 2022 awards on the website at ttadc.org, which is also where you're going to go to donate to our scholarship initiative. So please consider donating at ttadc.org. And as Lauren said, not just once, we donate in multiple times. So we're signing up for consistent donations throughout the year. All right, so next we have another performance by Miss Josanne Francis. So today's show we had a lot of Francises and we had a lot of Scotts. But today we have a musical rendition of Isn't She Lovely by Miss Josanne Francis. Isn't she lovely? And hasn't tonight been such a lovely show? It's been such a great time having these phenomenal guests, Miss Lauren Sharma, Rion Scott, and Mickey Demas, to talk about their work, their books, their art, as we celebrate and recognize the importance of education for our community and education for our young people through this scholarship initiative. It truly takes a village to ensure the success of our communities and our young people. I'd like to thank you, our audience, for all of the support that you've made this evening through your donations, and of course the cast of tonight's show for all of their participation in this worthy effort to give back to the community. Remember, you can still donate whatever you can afford, and you can donate on a regular basis. You can donate one time, annually, monthly, or even weekly if you can afford it. It will help the association to realize its goal of making this a significant foundation for our youth, of our future. And as you know, we try to grow the Trinbago community here in Washington, D.C. and in the DMV, we can leave this as our legacy. And you could be a part of that as well. So please consider donating. Even though the program is over, that does not mean our donations need to end. So we could continue to support the association. And this is just one of the many causes that the association is involved in. So in addition to the scholarship initiative, please look out for many other events that will be coming virtually as well as in person from the Trinidad and Tobago Association of Washington, D.C. On behalf of the association, thank you so much for watching.